Big Seance Podcast, episode 205. Moments from the 2022 Dead of Winter event in Alton, Illinois.
Welcome to the Big Seance Podcast. I'm Patrick Keller of BigSeance.com, and this is a place for an open discussion on all things paranormal, but specifically topics like ghosts and hauntings, paranormal research, spirit communication, psychics and mediums, and life after death. So basically, anything that pops up in my paranormal world. The candles are already lit, so you might as well come on in and join the seance.
This past weekend, I once again attended Troy Taylor's annual Dead of Winter event in Alton, Illinois. It was held at the historic and haunted Mineral Springs Hotel. Your ticket into Dead of Winter need only be canned goods or non-perishable items. It was a food drive to help local food banks. Every year at this event, I get the opportunity to meet and talk to listeners of the Big Seance. But I also get to nerd out with people who don't know about us, and hopefully they check out the show. In fact, some of you may have discovered this show after seeing me at my table over the years at Dead of Winter. Well, this year there were so many people in attendance. The speakers included Heather Moser, Tobias and Emily Wayland from the Singular Fortean Society, and the Sisterhood of Magick and Wonders. From what I hear, these sisters were fascinating, y'all. Another cool thing Troy does every year is record a live episode of the American Hauntings podcast with producer Cody Beck. And for that, you can visit AmericanHauntingsPodcast.com. Now, I was in the vendor room most of the time at my table, but there were so many other fascinating people and organizations there that I just had to take advantage of the opportunity to get some quick interviews. And so I hope you enjoy this special episode with some of the fascinating people that I got to talk to. So here we go, a little taste of the Dead of Winter vendor room. All right. So am I recording? I'm recording. So this is Becky Ray, and I know that she was here 2 years ago at the Dead of Winter event talking about hauntings in Kansas City. Tell us a little bit about what you do and your book and just what kind of nerd you are. How about that?
I am a total nerd. I'm a librarian.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
It's an awesome job. It's way cooler than I ever thought it would be. And then, during the pandemic, I'd been working on this Kansas City Hauntings book for 20 years. And when we had the lockdown, I finished it. So I was one of those overachievers. But I was really glad because that's gave me the opportunity to decide what do I want to do with all this information I've gathered and just write it down. And I did. It's been out a little over a year now. So.
And you were telling me earlier, we were talking about I'm from Kansas City, on the St. Louis side now, but I wasn't a huge paranormal nerd, so I didn't appreciate a lot of the stories and the history on the Kansas City side when I lived there. And you were saying that right now is a weird time period where Kansas City, people aren't as excited to talk about their ghosts.
It's more the locations and some of the historical societies that are involved with them. And I've lived in Kansas City since the late 90s, and I've seen its cycles where everybody's like, yes, we have ghosts, come see our ghosts. And then it starts to go into who told you that? We don't have any ghosts. And I think a lot of it is their museums and the people in charge, if they want to talk about them or not.
And I've experienced some of that, a lot in traveling, some of the haunted hotels, right. Some of them will rock their, history, and some of them pretend like
it's not happening. It's not here.
So tell us just a few of the bigger, places that are in the book, some of the places people might want to know about in Kansas City.
Yeah, well, obviously the biggest place would be Union Station, which is where the site of the Kansas City Massacre, and of course there's ghosts associated with that. But then there's just all the people that traveled by train during World War II. That's a lot of what people see inside the building is just people in very period inappropriate clothing with hard-soled shoes that, oh yeah, World War II. Just so many things have happened there. It's a really fascinating place. A couple of the other places, there's the 1859 jail in Independence, Missouri. There's quite a few places in Independence. It's where Vail Mansion is. Kansas City's pretty sprawled, and I consider the whole metro Kansas City, and there's just awesome stuff all over the place.
Union Station is beautiful. I love Union Station, and Kansas City's done a really good job of preserving that and making it useful and people giving something to do when they go there.
Yeah, and Amtrak is even in there now, so you can actually ride a train into and out of Union Station again. Yeah, so it's great.
Awesome. Well, where can people find you if they're interested in learning more?
They can find me on my website, which is ghostsagogo.com, or they can look up Ghosts A Go-Go on Facebook, either place, and they can find me there.
Awesome. And the name of the book, which I didn't even say, is Kansas City Hauntings, History and Mystery of the Paris of the Plains. So check out that from Becky Ray. You rock.
Thank you so much. So do you.
Yay! Awesome.
I found Troy Taylor taking a little break in a quiet corner of the ballroom. So, of course, I had to shove a microphone in his face to talk about the success of his event this year.
All right. So, Troy, I'm here to tell you, maybe the fourth Dead of Winter I've done. This is definitely the busiest, craziest one. I think people are ready to peace out of their houses and get going. So tell us about some of the stuff going on this year at Dead of Winter.
Well, we try to do this every year. I mean, last year was a bit of an odd duck, but we try to do this every year because people do get bored in the winter time. But this year especially, people were just anxious and eager to get out and do things, and we do have. I mean, we've doubled the chairs and they're still full. So yeah, it's turned out to be a nice turnout, and there is so much stuff that people have donated. Food items and non-perishables. We've had to set up more tables to hold all the stuff. Plus, it's on the floor, so I can't ever speak highly enough of how generous our paranormal community is when it comes to the food drive every year. It gets bigger every year. We have more stuff every year, more people. We do have, again, great speakers. Again, we've had a couple already this morning. We've still got Tobias and Emily from the Singular Fortean Society and the Sisterhood of Magick and Wonder coming up this afternoon. After-hour events tonight, and it's just been another really fun year for the event. And I never get tired of doing this one. This is always fun.
Yeah, and this year we have the addition of coffee upstairs, apparently.
Entire coffee bar upstairs, coffee shop. They roast our coffee for us that we have been having for quite a while. And so I invited them to come back this year and set up, and they brought the whole deal. I mean, espresso machines and the whole bit. This isn't just somebody upstairs brewing coffee. So put in a snack bar this year. I really did try to do all the things that people asked for. There's only so much I can do about it being warm, but that part
But it is the dead of winter.
It is a winter event, so it's not the summer spectacular. So you kind of got to think it might be cold, but it's not. It could be. Hey, it's warmer in here than it normally is. Well, let's go with that. So. But yeah, this has been a really good turnout this year, and I'm really pleased with the way that it's gone.
Very cool. So 2 quick things, like give us a sneak peek. You have announced everything for the Haunted America Conference this summer coming up. I'm excited because I missed last year. I really need it. Yeah. And tell us about the new season of the American Hauntings podcast.
Oh, well, our new season, we kind of turned back, well, not all of it, but we sort of turned back the clock a little bit, and we are doing a season of true American folk horror, essentially is what it is, which is curses, hexes, cannibalism, you name it. It's all rural and down-home kind of stuff. And so everything's got a bit of a theme this year, but we are only we're getting ready to put out our 3rd episode for this season. So far we've done American Witches and the Salem Witch Trials, and then we're going to do another witch and kind of a folk magic episode, and then we're going to move on into some other things. So, yeah, it's been fun. I'm excited about this season.
Tell us something really quick about the summer conference, what people look for.
We are, I'll tell you, here's one thing. We're more than 2/3 full already. So it's going to be sold out very quickly. So if you are thinking about come. But we've got some really great speakers again this year. And it is our 25th anniversary. It's the 25th conference. Technically, that would have been last year, but no, 2020. But so we were a year behind. But still, it's okay. We all lost a year somewhere there. So we definitely lost one for the conference, but it's going to be a really great time. And we are really excited to have back some of our speakers and a whole bunch of new ones. So definitely check it out. It's just ghostconference.net. Take a look. Hope you can make it.
You survived another dead of winter almost. Good job.
Thank you.
You rock. I'm here with Julia Ringering, and she has been doing readings here at Dead of Winter, and she had a few moments, and so I decided to come chat and see what she does and what kind of nerd she is. So tell us about what you got going on over here at your table.
Well, I'm psychic medium, so I do the psychic piece and the medium piece. So the way that I do my readings is a little different than how most psychic mediums do. I actually do a physical reading. So I'll hold I say patient because I'm a nurse. I'll hold my client's hands and kind of zoom around their body and read them physically, and then tell them what I see physically going on in their body, whether it's the heart, lungs, back, just medically what's going on. Then we connect with spirit and have spirit come forward and talk about what is happening in that aspect of their life. And then we kind of talk about what they want to talk about. If it's, money, if they have an issue with their job, if they're wanting to change jobs, just, the typical psychic type stuff then at that point in time.
Talk about combining strengths like of medical knowledge and, using intuitive abilities and things like that. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's very helpful. It wasn't so helpful when I was a practicing nurse. It was more of a hindrance because I could see things that I couldn't necessarily communicate to medical staff.
No one gets certified in medical intuition, right?
That's correct. Nobody gets certified in medical psychicness, medical mediumship. But it helps me to be able to tell people that, I see that you have a heart condition. Maybe you need to see your physician. I don't get so specific that I see you're going to have a heart attack or that sort of thing because I generally see in colors, red, green, and yellow, orange, that sort of thing. So red means there's a real prominent condition. Orange means it's either getting to be from red to yellow, which means things are getting to be a little bit of a warning, or it's going from yellow to red. So that's a combination of red and yellow is orange. And then green means everything looks fine. So it's like auras in a sense.
And you said you always come to the Haunted America conference and you do a lot of readings at the Haunted America conference?
Yes, I'm at every Haunted America conference and I do a lot of readings. I generally sell out.
Where can people find you if they're not here at the Dead of Winter? Or do you do like readings over the phone and things like that?
I do parties and I do single readings or individual readings. They can contact me through my email, which is julie_ringering at sbcglobal.net, or they can leave me a voicemail on my cell phone, which is area code 618-974-9006. But they'll need to leave me a voicemail.
You rock. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Two of my neighbors in the vendor room who were actually quite popular with the attendees were Chris and Kelly of Traveler's Moon.
You all have been swamped over here. Like you have had a line and I've been trying to get over here to even see what your shtick is, like what it all is. So tell me your names and what's going on.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm Chris Nielsen.
I'm Kelly McCarville, and we are Traveler's Moon. So we're primarily a paranormal team, and we'll travel the country going into different locations, both public locations and some private cases if we get called into anything. And then we also have a bunch of merchandise that we put together to just kind of help fund those travels and help people out with things. We've got our OSH bags that are to help people with protection and different things. So yeah.
But you also have some abilities too, right?
Yeah.
So Kelly here is a very gifted psychic medium. I'm a budding clairvoyant psychic, if that's what you would call it. I see shit. But my roots are very much in the technology. So our big focus as a team is trying to figure out where, the spirituality, the intuitive, the woo-woo, as we like to call it, meets the technology, meets the hard quote-unquote science that we know. And that's it, just trying to find the bridge between the two.
And we truly believe that when you take the intuitive side of things and the scientific side of things and you investigate using both of those, you really get more of a full picture of that investigation. So you can, and it backs up both. I can feel things, but if I just tell you that I'm feeling something, all you have to go off is my word. If a piece of equipment is going off, all you have to go off is, do we believe that equipment works? But when you have both of them work and they can validate each other, then it just brings more strength to the findings.
So, say for example, we're, at a place and I'm like, oh, I see a guy over there, snap a picture. We snap a picture and there's an anomaly in that photograph. Like she said, it kind of backs up what, otherwise would be just my word. And,
right, exactly.
Anomalies happen in photographs all the time, but when there's that you coincide that with the fact that someone said, oh, there's someone over there.
Yeah.
They back each other up.
Yeah, the experience with the evidence, it's amazing to get the two of them together. So, yeah.
I remember a time period in paranormal investigation where, and I don't want to say like anti-psychic, but some teams were always like, oh, well, we don't do that. Or maybe they have their one medium and they let them be involved for a certain amount of time and then they have to step out. Yeah. I think it's really cool to hear about teams really, really blending, because I think you have to blend both, because everybody has some kind of an intuition that they're probably picking up all the time.
And one of the questions that we get all the time is, what's the best tool to take into a location? And my answer is always going to be yourself. Pay attention to how you're feeling. Pay attention to the energy. Pay attention to the thoughts that pop into your head while you're walking around. We dismiss our intuition so often, and we need to not do that.
I do all the time.
I do too, even with what I do. I say that, but then I still find myself going, oh, I should have paid attention to myself.
And you said you're developing, so when did you kind of, start noticing all this?
So I kind of subscribe to the idea. Like you said, everybody's got this. It's just whether or not you're paying attention to it. And I think as we grow and develop into normal functioning human beings, the rational part of the brain's like, shut it down, this isn't real, it's, yada, yada, yada. So I think, honestly, it's one of those things you're born with. When I was about 8, I saw my first thing, and it honestly, scared the crap out of me. So I think I put up these little defense mechanisms where, like, nope, don't see it. Nope, eyes are just shut. And as I've continued as a paranormal investigator, and I've been at it for 12, 13 years now, it's just been a very gradual opening up process. And turns out if you hang out with the weird enough kind of people, you yourself become a little bit weird, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, and he doesn't talk about it a lot, but he is a budding shamanic practitioner. He was under the wing of late Coyote Chris Sutton. So he's made so much progress in that field too, just really being in touch with the energy, and it's helped expand our investigations from not just the building, but being able to go outside and go to the grounds. Like if you've talked to Cambre House already, they've got phenomenal grounds and the spirits and the energies that are there. So a lot of times when we do an investigation there, we spend almost as much time outside as inside. So.
Wow. Where are people going to find you?
Anywhere on social media at Traveler's Moon is the handle. You go to our Facebook page, you're going to find, location albums, live investigations is a big thing we like to do. We like to have an actual interactive live part of most investigations that we can. Obviously, internet's a bit of a factor on occasion at these places. On Instagram, we're trying TikTok just because that's the trend.
Oh yeah, I'm getting close to trying TikTok too.
We resisted, but it is the thing to do right now.
So
we're learning how to use it.
We're baby stepping into TikTok. We have a podcast that you can find anywhere that you can basically find podcasts.
Just the Traveler's Moon podcast.
Yeah, okay. Our producers are Paranormal Buzz Radio, and they have a fantastic spread of shows.
Right. And then we do have a YouTube channel as well that's got some of our videos out there. Definitely, though, for anybody who wants to follow us on Facebook for now. That's where we do our live videos. So when we're on location, we try to go live at least for a little bit of time and let the audience be a part of that. They get to help ask the questions, tell us what they're seeing, tell us if they're feeling anything. So we like to try to keep it interactive for everybody.
Very cool. Don't let people swamp you today. Take a break here pretty soon. You've been super popular.
It's been fun. It we're
it's
having
been
a blast.
a great time, yeah.
So.
Is this your first time at Dead of Winter?
Dead of Winter, yes. We've been to Alton before, and I've been to a couple events here before with other people, but this is our first Dead of Winter event, so...
Loving it so far.
It's been great.
Awesome, you rock. I've been surprised at how many people are here. I think people are like ready to break out and get the conferencing going again.
Oh, definitely. People are ready to get back out in the world and get a little sense of normal, and people need the energy of these events.
Oh, yeah,
so,
absolutely.
yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, you rock.
I'll be back with more from Dead of Winter right after this.
You're listening to the Big Seance podcast with Patrick Keller. Be sure to check out BigSeance.com for more discussion.
This episode of the Big Seance podcast is brought to you by Jim Harold's Campfire. And if you like stories of the strange, the weird, and the unexplained, well, then you need to check it out. If you're a longtime listener, you likely know that Jim Harold was one of the inspirations for the Big Seance. The very first podcast I ever subscribed to, it was produced by Jim Harold. He's been podcasting since the early days of podcasting. In fact, I think he's the OG paranormal podcaster. And he's approaching the lucky 13th anniversary of his Campfire show. If you haven't listened yet, the concept is pretty simple. Jim just talks to regular peeps about the strange stuff that happens to them for about 90 minutes every week. Ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, and head scratchers. He doesn't exaggerate or play a lot of spooky music. The stories just speak for themselves. One's like a ghost story involving serial killer Ted Bundy. A woman gets caught in what may have been an interdimensional portal that she narrowly escaped. Then there was the story of alien abduction by what may have been a reptilian. Even this morning, I just saw on Facebook that the most recent episode talks about a dishwashing ghost. I can get behind that one. Now, not all of the stories are horrifying. Some are heartwarming, a visit from a past loved one, or even a peaceful near-death experience. Den of Geek said, Jim Harold's Campfire is perhaps the best tool we have currently in existence to hear real-life scary stories from other human beings since the actual campfire was invented. Well, regardless of the story, they are true and fascinating, as told by ordinary people who've had extraordinary experiences. Jim supports us, so let's all tune in to Jim Harold's Campfire on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to The Big Seance.
Thanks for joining us for the Big Seance podcast. We'd better get back to the table while there's still some candlelight left.
All right, back to the vendor room, learning about the Cambre House in Nauvoo, Illinois.
So this is Rebecca Williamson with the Cambre House, and I haven't heard anything about the Cambre House until today, and I'm looking at a picture of it, and it's beautiful, and apparently it has an awesome history. Tell us a little about it.
Yeah, so the Cambre House was built in 1867 by French Icarians Adolphe and Hortense Cambre. It was owned by the Cambre family until 1979 when my grandparents bought the property. So 4 generations of Cambres lived and died in the home. It's a well-loved home that they just chose not to leave.
It's super cute. Oh, it's adorable.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I have opened it up as a wedding venue. So it is got gorgeous lawns and beautiful picturesque scenery, and it also happens to be haunted.
And you were telling me a little earlier, and I'm kicking myself for not having a microphone shoved in your face when you were telling me, but you were telling me about a couple of the friends that you have hanging out with you at the house.
Yeah, so our most active spirit is Eglantine Cambre, otherwise known as Princess if you can't say Eglantine. Eglantine died at the age of 9, actually in 1864, before the home was built. The family lived on the property at that time, but the home had not been completed. She is buried on the property in an unmarked grave. The family knew where she was buried at, but that information has been lost in time. Eglantine she's super active and super playful and absolutely loves the interaction when we do an investigation out there.
It sounds like a really cool atmosphere and environment to be in.
Yeah, it is. Cambre has a ton of energy. I have a mineral spring on the property. All that groundwater leaches from underneath. It's on the top of a limestone bluff right on the Mississippi River. So I have just a ton of energy, kind of similar to mineral springs here. Where we're right on the river, we've got the mineral spring, and it just fuels that paranormal.
Lots of stone tape theory stuff. If people talk about that, you got it all. So I am curious, are you still finding information about the history? Do you feel like you know all as much as you need to know? I would get so excited to get a historian involved and find out as much as I could.
I have a ton of history, but there's always more. And my grandparents put the property on the National Register of Historic Places in 1984. They did a ton of research at that time to go through the process to put it on the National Registry. And then when I bought the property in 2016, I started my own research just to kind of find out more about what I had bought. Most of that history was done when I was a child. And so I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention. So after I bought it, then I redid a lot of their research and came up with more on my own. So I have the complete genealogy of the Cambre family going back to when they came over from France in 1850. So I know if you're interacting with spirits out at Cambre, I can tell you pretty close to who you're going to be interacting with, just because I have so much history. But as you well know, there's always more. There's just so much history at Cambre that I could literally talk for hours about all the history out there at the farm.
Have you had a metal detector out for the grounds?
My funny metal detector story. We are out there doing a lot of stuff. I have the kids with me, and they're always looking for something to do. So I bought them a metal detector, threw them out in the yard, and said, "Have fun," thinking it would keep them occupied for hours. They came back within 20 minutes with a wooden block and said they were done.
So maybe if there's anyone listening who could help you in the metal detecting area, maybe they could contact you.
Maybe you could find more than a wooden block.
At least a spoon or some nails or something like that. If, true paranerds, paranormal, peeps come out to visit, are they allowed to get out toys and try to communicate?
Absolutely. So we've done a lot of investigations out there, but it's always fun, and there's always more stuff to investigate.
Awesome. Where can people find you?
I am Cambre House pretty much everywhere. At this point, if you type CAMBRE in a search engine, I should pop up. My website is cambrehouse.com. I'm Cambre House on Facebook, Cambre_House on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok too.
Well, you rock. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
I am here with Megan and Jamie, and they are from Riverbend Paranormal. And I've heard some things the last couple of years about Riverbend Paranormal. Tell us what you guys have going on.
So this year we're still trying to work on our calendar of events, but we do want to focus on going to Malvern Manor in Iowa. Is that where that is? Yep. To Broken Bow Asylum in Oklahoma, and back to the Conjuring House in Rhode Island. We went there last year and we loved it.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. It was fun. Brian and Rochelle, which are on our team, they did a documentary over it.
Sleepless Unrest.
Yeah, and so that came out back in last summer. Yep. And then so then we went in November and got to investigate as a team, and then we're hoping to go back again this year before anything.
So tell, how's your team formed? How long has it been together? What's the different people, different strengths? What's your philosophy? Anything you want to tell me about your team?
So we were formed back in 2007 with Brian Murray and Matt Pace started the team. And then I joined in 2019 when I moved here, and we all have different strengths. I think we have empaths, we have sensitives, we have a lot of just very logical people that just want to go in and debunk.
Tech-savvy.
A lot of tech-savvy stuff.
We're kind of a melting pot of all different strengths, and I think we all kind of pull from each one that we need.
Mm-hmm. And we don't really have a philosophy, I would say. Maybe just an approach of we just want to help people. Yeah.
That was my big thing when I had a team for a couple of years that I pulled together. That was one of the reasons why I stopped, because there for a while, the field got so saturated of different groups, and then groups would go out for fun and they're going and, doing this place and paying for this place. And I'm like, but I want to help people. And people stopped calling, and I was like, well, I guess I'm done.
Yeah. Well, and I think it got to be trendy to be a paranormal researcher too. So
yeah, we definitely do private cases, both residential and business, but we do our fun activities of going investigating as a team.
It's a good way to train too.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. We went to Waverly Hills last year too, and that was incredible. And we got to actually work with other teams there and kind of learn some new tips and tricks.
I go for the first time there in April.
Oh, how exciting.
What do I need to look for?
I don't know. It kind of just speaks to you, honestly.
I feel like there's not a single spot in that place that you won't, that doesn't have some kind of history that's gonna, lure you in, or not lure you in, but pull you in and
it's
have something.
It's a heavy place, but it's not a sad place, because the people that were there when they were there for that reason, it was a nice place to be. They actually kept it pretty nice. I do know that there was some bad parts of the history there. The staff were more the people that suffered the bad parts of it. And now there's new drama involved with the people who run the place, and
I'll have to look into that. Well, that's one of those places. Well, in a lot of the touristy paranormal places, I feel like it's been so popular now. Do you feel like people bring their own energy to those places? Sometimes I think we create hauntings in those places too, because 24/7 those places are being trampled and investigated. And sometimes I wonder, when a paranormal nerd dies, like, are they that big of a nerd that maybe they want to go haunt the Waverly Hills? Or
that's something we joke about, actually.
Yeah, I do think though, like, the amount of people that pass through there, their energy, it still kind of lingers there, whether, they're alive or they pass and decide they want to go back. I think that energy definitely from all the people, it absorbs it. And
well, even we went to Paranormal Unity last weekend, and they were talking about that of if you're intentional with what you say and of what you want to happen, are you making it happen, or is it actually just happening? Right.
So many questions in the paranormal, and that's why people don't get bored.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's always something with it that we investigate.
Where do people find you?
Social media, all platforms.
Yep.
TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We have a Twitter, but we don't use it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone uses Twitter.
And then
Brian and Rochelle have their adventure team
from Ghost Hunters.
Yes. And they have a whole list of events that you can find on our Facebook page.
Yeah, they got some exciting things coming up, events and almost like a whole tour this year of things that they're doing. So
the Rochelle tour.
Yes.
I'm getting ready to start a TikTok. Tell me what a paranormal nerd does on TikTok.
Well, right now we're talking about doing going live. If you have enough followers to go live, and people can actually interact with you and tell you how to investigate and what to do. Like, go in this room, ask this question.
Similar to Facebook Live.
Bring people actually with you into it.
So you're not getting jiggy with it, doing like dance moves and stuff on TikTok.
We did have one where, what was it? No, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. We did have the one where they put on the masks from the Purge, and they were doing the come play.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, we did do something like that.
Evidence on there too, videos, or you can do it with just sound. And
we got our video from 2 videos from The Conjuring that are on there, where the sheet gets moved in the middle of the night. One of our team members, he was sleeping, and the ghost tried to climb in bed with him. Maybe, I don't know. The sheet moved up, and
Well, these are all our kind of nerds, y'all. So check them out, and you guys rock.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me at the dead of winter. I'll have links to Troy Taylor and all of his events in the show notes, as well as information on any of the folks you just heard from. If the show notes aren't right here in your device, just visit bigseance.com/205. Thank you to the following super paranerds who support the show at patreon.com/Big Seance. Michael Henson, Shay Robin, Daryl, Anne Marie Sullivan, Natalie N., Kim Robb, Josiel Lorenzo, Susan Davey, and Amy Park Gedicke. My supporters at the Parlor guest level, who can be found at bigseance.com/Parlor guests, are Allie of Hocus Pocus Collector, Miranda from SpookyLittleHalloween.com, Linda from ShimmeringMoons.com, Ann Rekovich from OzParatech.com, Janae Michaels from Grey House Tarot and Farm Artifacts, Chelsea from Cheers with Chelsea, Mitchell Coombs from MitchellCoombs.com, Dina DeCastro of Dina DeCastro Astrology, Sarita Cockerham, Christine Rath Selhe, Mindy Kentop, Hope Battaglia, Cassie Keller, Melissa Armour, Diane Rax, Nettie, Bruce Williams, Christopher Kohler, Lana and John of Carbon Lilies, Jim Budd, David Rubenstein, and Norman and Linda Keller. That sound you just heard was the above and beyond. There's not even a category for your level of support fireworks display. Because I have 6 awesome listeners who support the show at the $10 level. Peggy Hagan, Glenna Becker, Steve Skinner, Kevin Gilbert, AJ Meredith, and James Wilfong. So thank you, Peggy, Glenna, Steve, Kevin, AJ, and James, and thank you, Paranerds. For show notes, including links to anything we may have mentioned in this episode, visit bigseance.com. And you can continue the discussion and hang out with a great community of Paranerds by joining us in the Big Seance Parlor on Facebook. Want to hear your voice in a future episode? Go to bigseance.com/feedback to learn how. Thank you so much for listening. Unfortunately, it's time to blow the candles out, but we'll see you and light them again next time.